Hi guys, thanks for checking the video out. I've just spent the last week at Crail Golf Society. So it's a course, it's about 15 minutes down the road from the St Andrews. So it's all the courses in and around St Andrews. Obviously you've got quite a few, and then you've got a couple courses off, like King's Barnes is all along that coast, but then Crail is a bit further along. So I was up there with the university team. They had their Bucks Tour finals. So yeah, spent the week and saw some good golf, doing the cross university UK golf. I mean, there's some really good golfers. So yeah, saw some top quality golf in some quite difficult winds. But there was a two-hole stretch out on the course that we were playing that really highlighted to me risk and reward. So my opinion on risk and reward is that a lot of the time in golf, or golfers tend to take on risks when there isn't actually any reward at the end of it. Which, when I say it's sitting in my office, that sounds just absurd, but it does happen a lot. You get golfers taking on shots that aren't really going to affect their score. And that's what you can't do, because obviously by being more aggressive in situations, you're probably more likely to add scores onto your round if you don't pull the shot off. So there were two holes, back-to-back holes. The 10th hole, slightly downhill, drivable. Beautiful backdrop, you could see all the sea down the side, but from a risk and reward standpoint, I would say yes, go for it. Because if you go for it, or you've got the distance to go for it, you hit it on the green, you're likely to make a birdie, whereas if you'd laid it up, you might, but you might not. So you go, well, by knocking it on the green, I'm kind of guaranteeing my birdie. And yes, there's bunkers in around. Like from my standpoint, if I went in one of them, it might mean I'm not going to make birdie, but I can get it out and still make par. You might be somebody that can't play out of a bunker. So whipping your driver down there and hitting a nice drive that rolls into one of the bunkers might be detrimental to you. So again, risk versus reward. You might go, well, actually, I'm going to lay it up because for my score, I'm likely to shoot bigger numbers if I go in the bunker rather than if I hit it on the green. So if you weigh it all up, and I like to think of golf as almost like physical chess. Almost think like if you were a poker player. It's trying to calculate, is it worth the risk? Because a poker player could just go in all the time and it might work out, but the likelihood is if you keep doing that, you're going to be caught out in the end. I'd say that's exactly what happens with golf. So that's the drivable hole. So I'm saying, yeah, there's some reasoning. Yeah, you maybe being aggressive down that hole can benefit you. But then the next hole, slightly different, uphill, and it's quite a quirky design. And the designer has actually left interior walls, so walls that were there before the club was actually, or the course was built. He's left these walls in. So on this hole, you're looking at a 246-yard carry uphill to clear this wall. So it's an interesting one because, yes, 246 yards is, like I usually drive about 280, 290, so I should be able to clear it. But you'll find that 246 would be right in the middle for a lot of people. Obviously, if you can't carry that, that's your decision made. You would lay up. So this is my example here, but think about it more relative to your driving. So I'm looking at 246 is probably quite average for your average amateur golfer. So for me, I'd have to, if that wall was at 270, I might have to then think about it. But the key thing, and what I want to do, and look at me, I got a pencil. God, look at that pencil. Do you see that? The Fairmont. Don't know if you can read that. Fairmont St Andrews. This pencil, I'm talking about Scotland. This pencil came from Scotland. So anyway, I've done a little diagram. So this is the tee. So we're looking from here to here, 246. So the question I want to ask is, what are the benefits of hitting it over the wall compared to laying up? Because that's where your decision needs to be made. So like I say, the 246, think about that as being close to your average carry. So if you hit it a bit longer, obviously, like I said, I would need it to be like 245 or 275. If you hit it shorter, you might say, well, the wall would have to be at 200 for this to apply. But try and make it relative to you. So 246. So we're going to say, well, that's about my average, so I can clear it. but you've got to factor in, so when you clear it, so in this example, this gives you probably 100 yards, possibly a little bit more. So you want to go, well, if I clear the wall, and strokes gained is a complicated equation. It's really worth looking at. I'm going to try and simplify that, kind of use a few of the theories from strokes gained, but maybe not apply it exactly like strokes gained. I've got the book. Even if you're interested in strokes gained, that's your book. It's a great read. But I'm going to try and just simplify it and kind of give a practical example. So what I'm saying, so if we knock it over the wall, let's say we do it 10 times. How many times are you likely to make birdie from 100 yards? You might be a very good wedge player, so you might go, actually, I'm really good. So if this was Luke Donald, I might go, if you clear it, get into that 100-yard bracket, you might make 6 birdies, or 6 out of 10. So then you could say, well, that's worth it. Whereas you might go, actually, from 100 yards, I'll still only make par. You then want to look at the wall. What happens if I knock it into the wall? So if I knock it into this area and I'm up against the wall or in the wall, if I do that 10 times, how many times am I likely to make bogey? So you might go, well, you're probably going to make bogey, or worse. And I would probably say in this situation, it's probably like 7 out of 10 for a bogey. Whereas I reckon you would probably be looking 2 or 3 out of 10 for a birdie here. So already we're looking and going, is that now worth the risk? Or if I lay it back here, so laying it back, no pressure off the tee whatsoever, because you're probably hitting an iron or a 3-wood, something that shouldn't challenge you too much. So we're going to be in play, so we're not even factoring in bad shots or good shots, it's just the easier play. So if we say in this area here, if you had 10 times, how many times would you make par? It's probably leaving you sort of 150 yards. So I would say in this example, I'm going to make par certainly 50% of the time. Let's say 7. I would like to think. So if we'll use this as me. So I reckon I would make 2 or 3 birdies from the 100 yards. I'm making bogey 7 out of 10 times. So I've basically got to play a really nice shot to flick it over the wall to then get into this area to then try and make the par. I'm 150, 140 yards. I'm 7, 8 times out of 10 I want to make par from that location. So what we're looking at, and again, this isn't strokes gained, but I'm trying to like weigh everything up, is yes, if I hit it over the wall, I'm likely to make some birdies, but the risk of making bogeys up against the wall, I would say cancels that out. Whereas with the pars I can make from playing safe, that's the winner. Plus, what I haven't tried to factor in here as well is there's nothing stopping me making birdies from my layup position. So on this hole, and this is assuming that the wall is in and around what you carry the ball. I mean, if the wall was back here, so for me in this example, 246, I should be able to carry that wall, unless it's into the wind. So we would have to make that one 275, and then this example really does apply to me. But the previous hole I was talking about, I would say if you went at the green, I'm probably going to hit it in and around the green. I would say 7 out of 10. I might be in the bunkers, so that might stop me making birdies, but I don't see that's going to affect my bogeys. So that's why I'm saying on that hole, let's be aggressive. Let's take the risk on. Because if I lay it back, I'm still likely to make a par. So it's worth it. I'd rather be in the bunker and then flick it out and make a par than lay it back. I think I make birdie more times in and around the green than short. This example is not quite as clear cut. So I hope this has helped. It's a slightly different video. I've tried to talk about some quite complex things in strokes gained. And again, like I say, I would read that book if you want more information on strokes gained, because it is a really, really clever topic, and something that if you can get some understanding, I would say you can really improve your game through it. But this is more of a practical, simplified version of strokes gained to say, are you making the right decisions on the course? I see it a lot of time as well. So again, this is me giving an example of me just playing a standard hole. Sometimes you'll make a mistake off the tee, so you have to then apply this sort of strategy again. So you might be in a position where you can't now reach the par 4 because your drive's either too far back or it's in the trees. So you have to make a decision. Is it worth me trying to hit a massive cut with a 3-wood and get it up by the green if at 30 yards you're still likely to just chip it on and 2-putt? Whereas if you hit a 7-iron to 80 yards, you'd hit it on and 2-putt, but without the stress or the likelihood of making a really big number. So again, sometimes you need to be conservative, sometimes you don't. So it's picking the moment and picking what you're good at. So what parts of your game excel over others. So putting it into 30 yards, if you're awful from 30 yards, that would be an awful decision. Whereas if you're really good from that, it'd be a great decision. Some people are better from 150 yards. So this example, one, you just hit it to 150. Or you might go, if I try and lay it up, I don't have the confidence. And again, that's a slightly different issue. But you might go, yeah, actually, I want to hit the 3-wood because I feel like I can keep, like in the trees, it means I can keep it low. And so again, it's the beauty of our game. Our whole layout, our playing surface is always changing. So you just need to try and adapt your opinions and your decision making, but just try and factor in risk versus reward. And just try, like again, I think thinking about it like a poker player is a good way of thinking about it. Going, yes, I can play that shot, but if I was to play it 10 times, am I likely to get the benefits, or would I fall foul more times than I would succeed? So again, think about through a season or in a round, if you keep playing the aggressive play, if you do it 5 times, you might pull it off twice. So that might make you 2 pars, but then make 3 double bogeys when you don't pull it off. So then your score at the end of the round adds up to more than if you'd been conservative in those situations. Other times you might go, well, actually I can exploit my assets. So like, let's use myself. I hit my driver quite far. So on holes that really give benefit to hitting it far, I need to try and push my benefits. So actually go, I'm good at driving, I need to be aggressive in those times, because if I lay it up, I've then lost my advantage. So again, it's really, really complex. I try, when I give golf lessons, I try and talk people through, maybe get them to give me examples of what they've done in previous rounds to try and up their understanding. Because like I say, it's so complex and it's individual. There isn't a right and a wrong. You just have to try and make these decisions more so than anything. Sometimes we just go right club whack. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. So maybe it's just a case, you might be a person that just needs to start thinking and actually trying to apply these things. Maybe after rounds thinking, what should I have done? What shouldn't have I? Because sometimes you just hit bad shots as well. So we can talk about strategy, but if you just hit a bad shot, you hit a bad shot. You can have the right decisions and still make bad shots, or you can make the wrong decisions and still get away with it. But through a whole season, so if you're somebody that's trying to lower their handicap, through a whole season, if you start making the right decisions, by the time you get to the end of the season, I guarantee you'll end up of shooting a lower average because you're kind of maximising your chances to do well. So like I said, hope this has helped. Get some comments down below. Is this something that you really try and consider? Is it something that you don't? Do you fall foul? Are you the person that always plays at their like home club, so they don't tend to think, they just kind of go into autopilot, because that's quite common? Yeah, get some comments down below. Hope this has helped. Hope to catch you soon.